Do people ever tell you you can't be blind and be a plumber?
That's a good question.
Tradesmen built America. Not policymakers or desk jockeys, but hardworking, blue-collared men and women. Join me, Roger Wakefield, on conversations with some of the nation's most successful skilled laborers. This is the Trade Talks.
I more so I get the word how than the word can't. You know, the how, and you know, when I get that question, I'm always curious on how I should answer it. I mean, I just do it. I don't know any other thing than that. It's just, you know, how do you walk? You know how to walk. So I know how to glue pipe together. I know how to read blueprints. You know, I know how to drill holes, and I know how to make things look straight and perfect.
And water goes downhill.
That's it. Water goes downhill, and if everything goes right, you get paid on Fridays.
That's right. How did you get into the trades?
Well, it's a good story. In about 10th, 11th grade in high school, I was at a union picnic with my dad, Local 55 out of Cleveland, Ohio. And the BA asked me if I was going to start the apprenticeship program. And I said, no. I'm going to go to college. I want to learn how to work on computers. I'm going to program. And I'm going to be, you know, the next Steve Jobs. And so this went on for a couple of years, and I went to college for a year, Youngstown State, and I tried to wrestle Division I. I didn't make it. And in the interim, my dad landed a good-sized job, so over the summer I helped him, and I realized I wasn't going to make a living at wrestling or college, and this is all I knew. Yeah, you know, I use the analogy I was thrown in a ditch, and I don't like that phrase, but I wasn't really thrown in the ditch. But I guess I
spent a lot of time in there.
Yeah, I jumped in the ditch more than I was thrown in it.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
So why plumbing?
Why plumbing? Well, I don't want to have any HVAC guys or electrical or any other tradesmen coming here trying to shoot you. Or
I piss them off all the time.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
okay.
there we go.
But I love them as tradesmen. We always talk trash on a job. Is this the way it is?
Absolutely. You know, and I you know how many times I fight with who gets in first on a job?
Oh, yeah. Every job we're on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've went and I was plumbing new houses in the 90s, and I would go in the middle of the night and put my vents in so they couldn't get in my way with their heating stuff. Why plumbing? Again, it's what I knew. But I actually like the plumbing personally for more than anything is it's a little bit of facet of all the trades. You know, installing a dishwasher, you know, I know how to run the circuit. You know, I know how to cut a cabinet door apart if I have to, a little bit of crafts, a little bit of carpentry, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And that's what I liked about the plumbing trade. You know, one day we're cutting and threading pipe, next day we're running copper or solder or plastic. A little bit of cast iron in my life, not much, but that's what I like about plumbing. You get a little bit of all the trades, where the other trades aren't quite, in my opinion, as well-rounded as plumbing.
Now, see, I'd argue with you on HVAC because they've got the drains. They've got
they get the
a ton of electrical. They've got the air duct. So there's a lot to it. And I got my HVAC cert too. So
yeah, I
see
do
both
too.
sides. I just never used it. I love plumbing.
I guess I do too. I think more so what fascinates me is the amount of plumbing out there. You know, a lot of people don't realize, you know, I always use the analogy, plumbing is the oldest trade there is. I mean, there's in the aqueducts of Rome, in Egypt, there was sewage that flowed along the aqueducts. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the original plumbing. And again, HVAC, and I don't want to minimize any of the trades because
they came along a lot later.
Yes.
Electricity too.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, a craftsman's a craftsman. What he does with his trade and with his hands and what he makes his work look like is just amazing. And, you know, I'm sure you do the same thing too. You know, I get on a cruise ship and the first thing I inspect, it's all growy faucets. I guess a race car driver must go down the road and check every car out. It's just
probably
what we do.
Probably not to the extent that we do.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, when I go in public restrooms, I look up under the countertop. When I go into a hotel room, same thing. I look at it. I take pictures of it. I mean, sometimes the things
I got
you
a
see
phone
blow
full
your
of the
mind.
pictures
too.
too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. If you would have become an electrician, because see, my son, I got him into the union because after 17 years of plumbing open shop, I joined the union. A few years later, I became an instructor in the union. And I got him in thinking he'd become a plumber.
Okay.
He goes to be a pipe fitter. So he becomes a pipe fitter and a welder. Not really a welder. I mean, he had his cert or certs, but pipe fitting is what he did. And I love plumbing. If I'd have been an electrician, I don't think I would have been as good at it because it's not anything that I like. But there's something about water flow, bringing water in, swag, sewer, water, and gas. It all ties together. Now, do y'all do gas?
Oh, yeah.
Where you're at? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I talked to some plumbers that like, oh no, that's the gas company. They do all the gas. And that blows my mind because I'm like, it's plumbing to me. And they're like, well, doesn't it scare you to run gas? I'm like, wait a minute. You're running water pressure or water that can get up to 100 PSI over it. I've seen. Gas is 2 ounces and you're worried about
it's
gas. Just don't let it leak. That's
right.
the big deal.
Right. And a lot of it is you got to test your work too.
Mm-hmm. In gas, you test often.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, you test your work. Mm-hmm. A lot of people have the old WOG valves. I get rid of that stuff and get ball valves put in there and master your craft.
You bet. Do you still know how to solder?
Solder's my weakness.
Yeah.
Obviously you asked about the blindness. I'm visually impaired. It's funny. I did a podcast a few weeks ago and Joe asked me where I struggled. And I says, soldering. I've probably soldered about 1,000 joints in my life. Had about 20 leaks. ProPress was the greatest invention for me. It's soldering. I know a 1/2-inch joint, 1/2-inch solder. I measure it. I turn it down, and
I don't ever measure. I'm just like,
because I'm still a little nervous about it.
Right. No, I get that.
And so I always have a driver with me because I don't drive, and I'm like, okay, all right. When that turns this color, tap my shoulder, and I'm like, okay, I only want a 1/2 inch of that solder to flow down, and I don't actually measure with a tape measure.
I get it.
I know on my finger.
Right.
When that flows down, I pull the heat away right then, and I wipe my joints to get so that they don't turn green in a week, and it is part of the craft. It is part of the craft.
And I ask because I have a lot of apprentices and some even plumbers that reach out to me today, or they'll message on my videos and they'll say, look, we're not allowed to solder at our company. Are your plumbers, do they have a torch? Are they allowed to solder?
Yeah, I hate to admit it, but yeah.
No, I think it's a great thing.
I want to be professional.
You bet. And I think that's part of the skill. That's part of the trade.
Yeah, and I'm okay with ProPress. The things that the things that I don't like is those snap fittings, the push-on fittings.
I've dealt with those too.
I have issues with them.
But I've tested, you know what's funny?
But they have their application.
I've tested them. And to be honest, if the pipe is prepped properly.
Correct.
They hold higher pressure than press does.
I believe it.
I've made the video. I've tested it. We've put it in the blast chamber. We've watched it.
Well, I mean, they're exactly the same. I'm sure you've done a lot of stab fittings in your life. Mm-hmm. Okay, the press fitting is the same concept as a stab fitting.
You just squeeze it.
It's all squeeze and friction.
Mechanical pressure.
Mechanical joints.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I still laugh once in a while. I'll get a supply house invoice and they still put the word MJ on it.
Yeah.
As growing up, I always wondered what it stood for. I said, oh, that's a mechanical joint.
You bet.
It's
So what, I'm assuming you joined the apprentice hall.
No, I didn't.
You didn't?
No.
Okay.
So like I said, I went to school I went to college for a year or two. And in the interim, my dad started his own business, service and repair. And I went to work for him.
So that's why not a lot of experience with cast iron.
Well, yeah. Plus, right in that area when cast was going out, I did a bank once on my own in cast iron. They were moving toilets around to make them handicap accessible. Actually, I was 21 years old, and the guy I was working for right by my college came in. There's like 8 of us sitting around the table. He said, anybody know how to pour a lead joint? And nobody raised their hand. I said, well, I have.
Yep.
How much lead do you put in? I said, well, it's a ladleful. I mean, doesn't everybody know that? How much oakum? 3 strands. Doesn't everybody know that?
Right.
I'm sitting there with 8 plumbers, and all of them were twice my age. And they looked at me like deers in headlights. Mm-hmm. I have my dad's lead tools. Someday they're going to get sandblasted and framed.
I've got probably 40 or 50. I buy them every chance I get. I want every tool that there is. That's just me. Thank God for Milwaukee.
Man.
That they. I love Milwaukee. Every time they come out with a new tool, it's like I'm like a kid in a candy store.
I've been buying my son tools. I bought my son that little cordless chop saw. Mm-hmm. It's a 6-inch saw, and he kind of he gets mad because I spoil him a little extra at Christmas with tools because he's a journeyman plumber now.
Yep.
And he's like, Dad. I'm like, Al, I know you're going to use it for work, and he works for me. So I was up on a job with him, and he had it, and he says, I use it every day, Dad. The other thing is the right tool for the right job, mm-hmm. Especially with my visual impairment. You know how many shower arms in hotels you see with scratches on them?
Oh, yeah.
To me, it's almost embarrassing. I don't want to sit and talk bad about anybody else's work. I want to do the right thing. I want to do the right thing by the customer. I want to do the right thing by the apprentices. I love training and developing. One of the guys that I hired down in Florida worked with me for about 1.5 years down there. He's been down there for another 1.5 years. He's eligible to take his test now.
Is that what it is in Florida? 3 years to get your license?
Well, you got to have 4. So he's coming up on his 4th year. Okay. This should be the end of his 4th year.
Cool.
And if the Florida test is, it's one of the harder ones, but it's not the hardest. I don't think any of them are hard as long as you prep and study for mm-hmm. them. But it's all preparation. But I love it because I sit and have conversations with him now. And he didn't know any other terminology with plumbing other than what I taught him. And terminology is a lot of us where we connect. Mm-hmm.
You speak the same language.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes. And as long as you can get people that speak your same language, I hate to say it, where my main shops are up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I go down into West Virginia, and I hear this word. I'm not even sure if it's in the dictionary. They call it a commode. I'm like, that ain't a commode. It's a water closet.
See, I grew up with a family of plumbers, so it was always a commode to me.
Okay.
Then when I walked on the job site and people were like, water closet, I'm like, what is a water closet?
Uh-huh. Yeah. So it's I actually snap when somebody calls it a commode up by me. It's closet.
That's funny.
Some guy said to me, is it a closet where you hang your clothes? I said, shut up.
Yeah, I was fixing to say a closet would be completely different down here.
Yeah. So
very interesting.
It's
So you learned working with your dad then?
Yes,
went
sir.
to work for him?
Yes.
What made you want to become a good plumber?
Well, so I remember as a kid, my dad, when I say kid in my 20s, working with my dad said to me one day, he says, you know what? If they decide to put glass on these walls instead of drywall, mine will be the prettiest pipes in the wall.
I pretty much feel the same way.
And, some days I cringe. I got goosebumps right now. Today's my mom and dad's 60th anniversary.
Very nice.
They're both gone. And I sit there and think about some of the things he taught me. And that was one. And, to the point that he was such a craftsman, Roger. You could look down his ditch and you could read the pipe all the way down it.
I learned the same way. I learned the exact same way.
Yeah. So I always use the phrase I was taught in the union, even though I was never in the union. Mm-hmm. Whether we're non-union or union, mastering your craft. The only thing is most of the union shops have phenomenal training programs. They have capital to invest in them. I've worked with the ABCs with non-union. I'm sure you're familiar with them. ABC, PHCC, yep. AGC. There's a bunch of them out there. Yeah, I'm certified to teach through ABC. We, in our local area, we have an ABC. They call themselves ABC affiliated. It's called AMPAC. It's a bunch of old plumbers that they actually bought a school and they're training guys. They have a hands-on training center. I don't know how many you've ever seen, but they actually have a drain cleaning room.
I love it.
And, cleaning drains is an art too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's a specialty.
Yeah. And, so fortunately my dad's vast knowledge, he started out in new construction his first 10 years of his life, residential single family. And he worked on the Yankee Clipper down in Boca Raton, Florida. And so his array of work, nothing feared him. So, I would put a 3 million BTU boiler in a church, 300 foot of 3-inch steam pipe, a return line for a college. I have no fear. I've pulled a lot of well pumps. I've even taken a few IBR classes. Not that I can tell you I can fix them, but I know how to service an oil burner, which that's plumber's work.
Yeah, and I love that because look, you're up north. I'm down here. We don't do much steam. Don't do anything with oil burners, anything at all like that. Nothing. But I'm like your dad. I've done commercial, residential. I've done industrial. I've done new construction. I've done service in almost every one of those. I've been non-union, union, and non-union again. So I love it because when people come up to me, especially, non-union people come up and say, union sucks. I'm like, have you ever been in it? Yep. And they're like, well, no. Well, then don't say that. You know nothing about it. But the same thing on the union side, when they say, well, Roger, you come from open shop and open shop sucks.
They call us scabs.
Oh, yeah. They call it worse than that.
Yeah, I'm trying to be politically correct.
But I'm like, guys, you understand, I'm a superintendent in the union, and I learned open shop. So every open shop person is not a horrible plumber like you think they are. A lot of open shop plumbers could do well in the union.
Yes.
Some of the union plumbers couldn't work open shop because they don't have the union backing them to keep them their job.
I had an experience with a union plumber. A guy spent 30 years, and I hope he watches, but I hope he doesn't watch it. He spent 30 years in the union when he retired a few years before my dad, about probably 10 years before my dad, and my dad was out of town. And he called me, and his boiler was having problems with a pump coupler. And he was all upset. He says, is Gene there? I says, no, Buck, he's out. Him and my mom are gone. Oh, man, what am I going to do? My pump motor's making all kinds of noise. I says, you just come pick me up, Buck. I knew right now what it was, a set of Allen wrenches and a coupler. I was blessed. I was blessed. I was trained union style, but I was never in the union, which, if life did over again, I don't know what that would do to me.
I'm lucky.
Yes.
I was trained with two great plumbers that were open shop, but they taught me the right way to do things. Turning all the letters up, facing the same direction. When you put no hub bands on, all the nuts are lined up, facing the same direction. I still
cringe when I see one of the guys put the Fernco and they got to twist their wrenches around. I'm like, what are you thinking?
Why did you not do it right to begin with? Take just a minute and tell everybody who you are and what you do.
I appreciate that, Roger. First of all, I want to thank you for allowing me on this podcast with you. This is quite an honor.
Well, thank you.
So my name is Bob Beal. I'm a master plumber in 5 states. I've been plumbing for 40 years. My stage name is Bob is the Plumber. I actually own a very, very large Mr. Rooter Plumbing. I actually 2 or 3 of them. Employ about 60 guys, 40, 50 trucks on the road every given day. But my ultimate dream is to teach plumbing. My ultimate dream is to go on stage and teach and educate the trades. For being an old man, which I don't think I am, but the numbers say I am.
Well, you're younger than me, so I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna agree with you.
The numbers say I'm old. So, my dream is to get on stage and teach and train. I'm walking around here salivating over what you have for a video center. I love learning. I love technology. And, it's the 21st century. It's here. We're not going to fight it. So it's Bob is the Plumber. I have a YouTube channel, Bob is the Plumber. Go to my YouTube channel, click on the subscribe, hit the link below, go to my website, bobistheplumber.com, scroll down to the bottom and fill it out and get a shirt.
Cool.
So let's go back to your conversation. What what made you be a plumber? If I can ask you a question, and then I'll shut up, let you take back over.
You know, the two guys that I was talking about that I think really trained me well, I grew up with their little brother, and we were managing a restaurant one night. And he looks at me, it was slow, and he looks at me and says, "You're going to do this forever?" I'm like, man, I'm 16 years old. I'm managing a restaurant. And he looked at me and he said, "So what if you quit or got fired? Who's going to hire a 16-year-old restaurant manager?" And I never thought about it that way. Later that night, he told me about his father and his three brothers that were all plumbers.
Okay.
And talked about how much they loved what they did, and they enjoyed it, and they were building things and fixing things, and they had cars and trucks and apartments and houses, and they were just, wow. I was like, man, that sounds pretty cool. A couple of weeks later, I either quit or got fired, and I probably got fired, but I called one of the brothers and said, "Hey, can you help me get a job plumbing?" And he said, "Yeah." So I did. Ended up quitting school the last half of my junior year. Did it the last half of my junior year and did it that summer. And then because of a girl, I decided to go back to high school and graduate. And luckily I graduated with my class. And I got right back into plumbing. I've tried a few other things along the way, but I always end up back in plumbing. I love plumbing.
So I got a little similar story to that. So I went to Cleveland State, and I tried to wrestle there. Basically, I was a practice dummy. And it was tough, Division I, and you know I grew up in a plumber's family, so money was not plentiful. But when I never wanted anything, so I applied for a job at Cleveland State. They had what they call the physical plant, and in the physical plant they had a carpentry shop, painter shop, blah blah blah. And I met with the plumbing foreman, okay, and he didn't hire me, but the carpenter foreman did. So I worked with this a craftsman and a half. He was an old carpenter. We used to go around and fix doorknobs and door handles at Cleveland State. It was very interesting of a career for 6 weeks of my life. But in the interim, we all ate lunch together, and I made friends with a couple of the plumbers in the plumbing shop. And they were union, but they used to do a lot of side work. And once they knew I knew what I was doing, they'd call me, and I'd meet them on jobs at campus at night, help them with a night job. And then the next thing you know, I was changing boilers with one of them on the weekends.
There you go.
And I think once it gets in you, I think once the plumbing's in you, it's in you.
Oh, yeah. I agree with that.
I was on the phone last night with one of my techs, and he started out life plumbing, went in the Army, got out, became a licensed electrician, and he says, "I'm so happy to be back to plumbing."
Yeah, I bet. So you talked about wanting to teach.
Yes, sir.
I've been on television shows, radio shows, podcast interviews, all kinds of things here lately, because Gen Zers are getting smart. They're realizing college probably isn't worth it. It's not worth what they're charging for it these days, not for the jobs you can get. And unless you're going to be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, scientist, something like that, you really probably don't need to go to college. One of the problems they're having is with all these Gen Zers getting into the trade schools, trying to learn plumbing, all that now, they don't have enough instructors. And I'm being asked about that all the time. So many tradespeople across the United States are reaching that retirement age. The average age of tradesmen in the United States is the mid-50s. So here in the next 5 to 10 years, these guys are going to be ready to retire. Teaching opportunities are out there. Is that the kind of teaching you're wanting to do, like going to a trade school, stuff like that, or what all are you wanting to do?
Well, I mean, I love teaching the trade. Teaching the trade is, I think, one of my strengths. The IPC code, chapter 9 is the DWV, chapter 11 is the vents. I mean, fortunately, I have that book memorized.
Right.
But I also like teaching the customer side. I'm working with another company called Service MVP, the gentleman's book I gave you. I'm a certified partner with them. And what we teach in that is, I don't like the word sales training, but it's a form of sales training. But it's how to educate the technician to have a conversation with the customer. Okay. We try to, when we're doing residential service, we try to fine line between scaring a customer and tell them what they have. And again, I like technology. So if somebody has cast iron underneath the floor of their house, we do lining. I 3 or 4 lining rigs, different types. I also do pipe bursting. My goal is to go in there and solve that problem without destroying their home. Mm-hmm. And there's a certain way you present that to the customer, because I hate to tell you, it comes with a pretty good ticket.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? We're not cheap. Okay? Don't the $50 an hour plumbers, they're gone. Okay? And anybody out there is charging $50 an hour, good luck.
Or if you find the $50 an hour plumber, it's liable to cost you $50,000 later.
Mm-hmm. And so one of my philosophy, I've always said there's 3 things in life you can have. Okay? You can have good, you can have cheap, and you can have fast. But you can only have 2.
Yeah.
So, you got to decide what you want. Okay? And my goal is to be good and fast. Okay? And, we show up. I get reviews every week from my customers saying, oh, Jason was here in 45 minutes. And, we strategically schedule according to when our call is heavy, and we take care of customers.
You bet.
I spent 2.5 months on the road earlier this year. I had to prove I could still do it.
All right, let's get back to you, though.
Go ahead.
Instead of your company, what made, when you started plumbing?
Yes, sir.
What was your favorite thing to do?
Snake drains.
Okay.
It was actually the very first job I went on with my dad. It was a snake and a drain at a nursing home. And actually the very first job I did on my own when my mom drove was snake and a drain at a cemetery in the offices. Mm-hmm. I get excited when I get the drain open. And then I get excited when I can't get it open. I got to put a camera down there, locate it, and propose an excavation repair. That's and there are guys out there that despise drain cleaning.
Oh yeah, it's a specialty.
Yes, and I love it. But I also love finding the challenge jobs. Mm-hmm. I don't want to get into too deep of a story and go down a rabbit hole, but I had a customer that had sewer smell in their house forever, and at the time, my guys thought I was crazy. I went and capped all their drains. It was cast iron. I capped all their drains off, and I tested it like it was new construction. And they're like, what about all the water? It's just water.
You bet.
It's just water. I had to test it. And when I got done, there was a crack in their stack right at the roof. And our code book says we got to be as high as the peak or 18 inches high or whatever it said.
Right.
And the crack went down to the flashing, causing their attic to stink, which caused their bathroom to stink. And people thought I was crazy. I mean, I got to find this leak. You could smell it. And that I enjoy finding the challenge that other people can't. Mm-hmm. I could go on here and tell you another 20 times, but we only have so much time. But I enjoy snake and drains, and I really appreciate the fact that I know plumbing.
I love it when I used to get calls that like, look, we've had 3 other plumbers came out and they can't do ... And I'm like, perfect. And I love it.
So I'm sitting at home one night, this is years ago, with my ex-wife and I, and the phone rings, and the guy says, I've been soldering this for an hour. I can't get it to take. And sorry, sir, if you see this, and I show up, and he was trying to solder a CPVC. Mm. I'm like, well, there's a reason it's not going to take.
Well, I'm assuming he melted it 100 times.
Ruined the faucet body.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he had CPVC shoved in it, and the brass body was brown. Mm. I just scratched my head. But, and I like that. I like doing the thing that somebody else can't do, and I like finding the weird things.
Right.
That's what I really enjoy doing. And I hate to say it, I love snake and drains. I grew up using an old gold deck locator where you had to twist the head and mark the ground.
Right.
Nothing like what we have today.
Yeah, it's a little easier now.
Yeah, and people thought I'm crazy. I'm putting these cones out here. I'm running a tape measure, and I'm telling you it's this deep. And they look, how'd you know? I said, just dig there. Mm-hmm. That's where I enjoy that.
I like that.
I have no desire to go drill holes and plumb a house.
Yeah. No, I get that. How long did you work with your dad?
So I started working with my dad in, oh boy, that's a good question, 84, but I was still in high school. So I worked with him until 86. Then I left him, went and wrestled for a couple years in college. Went back with him from 88 to about 94. And then I moved away and started my own thing in Cleveland, Ohio.
So
it's about 8 years total.
When you started your own company, what was the hard thing about it? What didn't you know? What do you wish you'd have known?
I probably the biggest learning curve that I had, and I did go on and get my bachelor's degree, but the biggest learning curve I had in 99, I sold my first company. And a guy asked me if I had a balance sheet. I said, balance sheet? I'm not quite sure what that was.
Yeah, most plumbers don't know.
Right. So I pride myself on that, I could sit here and teach you as a plumber how to read your P&L, your balance sheet, cash flow statement. And it's all basic business 101. So if I would have known that 10 years earlier, that might have helped me in life.
Most plumbers don't know basic business, though.
No.
My first coach was Michael Gerber, who wrote the E-Myth book.
E-Myth.
And I remember being on stage talking with him. And he talked about the fact, he said, look, we send people to college every year, or people go to the trades, whichever way they go. But it doesn't matter what. They learn how to do something, but they never know how to run a business. They're never taught how to run a business. And I think some of the colleges are finally starting to realize that and say, hey, we could do a business 101 course. But it's really funny because most tradespeople come out of the field, out of the truck, into ownership. They're still running a truck. They're still doing different things, but they're not taught how to run a business. They have to learn it on their own. Basic accounting was the best thing for you to learn right there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I still second guess myself on debit or credits. I call my accountant probably once every 6 months. All right, Sarah, is this a debit or a credit? T-charts. We're spoiled today. Most people don't realize this. QuickBooks is a basic accounting software, and it creates T-charts. It does your general ledger. Back in when we started this, you did that. You had this big old piece of green paper with columns. You had to write that out on.
Single line entry.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, and then hopefully they match at the bottom. If they don't, you pull your hair out.
Start over.
Yep. And that's how we started. But to have some business fundamentals, I would say was what I wish I would have had. The accounting side, fortunately over the 40 years that I've been playing with poop, I've learned a lot about HR. I've learned about labor laws, learned about vehicles, learned about licensure, insurance, all that. Most 25-year-old plumbers that are just starting their own truck don't know the difference in full tort and no tort insurance or gap coverage.
Right.
So there is a huge demand for basic business 101.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one that gets by a lot of people because they get out of a truck and they think, man, I'm a good plumber. I make good money. I'm making a lot of money for that company. Now I'm going to go work for myself and make it. But they don't know how to run a business.
No. And, that's part of what my teaching programs is, I'm doing a one-day sales training, and I don't want to make this about me. So
then don't. We'll get there in a little bit.
All right.
When you ran your business, did you specialize in anything when you first started? Or did you just run a plumbing company?
Well, it was kind of unique. I just ran a plumbing company, but you mentioned gas earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So I got tied up with these two other guys that were starting their own shops too. And neither one of them knew how to do gas. So whenever any of them, the three of us, whenever the other two got a gas line job, they would call me.
Of course.
And my ex-wife and I'd go out there and I could repipe. Unless it went up the walls, I kept them off. But for sake of conversation, I could cut and thread. And I hate to tell you, back then it was by hand.
Oh, yeah.
And I could repipe I carried enough 1 inch and 1/2 inch. enough valves and unions, I could darn near repipe a house in a couple hours. And we're talking those, a little 1,100 square foot ranch.
Right.
And it was fascinating. And I remember this one guy, his name was Dan Hogue, one time said to my wife, how does he do it when he can't see? And, and again, I learned it from my dad, but, I treat that home run in the basement, everybody wants to start at the meter and they want to pipe in. Well, it's not. It's a tree, and the meter's just another branch off the tree. The water heater's a branch off. The stove's a branch. So I always made my home run, hung that, and then piped to each fixture.
Right.
And again, God rest his soul, my dad taught me that.
It's a good way to do it.
Yeah, and a lot of people still don't do it that way. And I like gas.
Oh, no, I love it. Yeah.
Especially nowadays, they have Power Pony threaders with Milwaukee makes the cordless one.
I've got two of them.
Oh, yeah. Aren't they great?
Oh, even their big threading machine now. It's battery operated.
I seen you on
I used to carry
Milwaukee one.
That big, bulky, rigid that would break your shoulder.
The 700.
Oh, God.
Yeah, with the big dies.
Man.
Yep.
Massive.
Yeah.
And, it's funny you talked about doing it by hand. The father of the three brothers, the three older brothers, the guy I grew up with. Now, he's got a plumbing company, too, very successful here in Garland. And the father used to go to houses when he was plumbing. He'd measure everything out. He'd go back to his house, cut and thread all the gas pipe in his garage. And I guess that's where the boys started helping him. But he'd cut it and thread it in the garage, put it all in the back of the car, truck, whatever he had, and go install it the next day. And I'm like, man, that is just a cool way to do it. But he got good at takeoffs. He could lay out and measure and cut and thread anything. And it was always right.
Well, when you have the nipples and the unions at the end, you got a little bit of play.
Mm-hmm.
A few years ago, I had a shop down in Tampa, Florida. So, this was tough for me. I'm in Home Depot walking around for a friggin' hour trying to find black steel pipe. Well, I hate to tell you this. In Florida, they don't use black steel for gas. They use galvanized.
Ah.
Okay. So, and the reason being is the sun rots out black steel.
The sun or the I would think the
UV
salt water.
rays, salt water, everything. Yeah. Okay. I'm like, you can't do that. You got to do black steel for gas. So I'm with a gas class up north, and I'm like, you ever heard of using Oh, you can't. You do that. Galvanized flakes, and it ruins all the control valves. And I just say, all right, everybody's got their own thing in their own world. But that was tough. So I'd go to Home Depot and figure it out. Couplings, unions, and I could.
It's all the same fittings.
Yeah. And it was just that was the tough one. Also having curb keys that are this long. I'm sure it's what you got down here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, our curb keys are 5-footers up north.
See, that's crazy. Now we've got some like that here because you've got the mains out in the streets and stuff like that, and they're deep. Yeah, I've had some big ones.
Yeah.
Did you specialize in anything other than drain cleaning back then? Because you said now you're doing pipelining.
Well, back then when I started, like I said, I got involved doing a lot of gas work.
Okay.
But once I moved to my new shop, which I'm a Mr. Reuter Plumbing.
Okay.
In Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I was 1 or 2 for a while, and now some big players came in. I'm like 7 or so in the ranking of the franchisees. I have a good rapport with them for the most part. Reuter, we're an off-spin of that other company. I will not mention their name.
Right.
And Reuter, we drains. So we do lining, we do bursting, we do locating, whatever it takes to repair a sewer line amicably. There's a lot of Orangeburg still out there. It's crazy.
Not much around here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See, we're surrounded by Orangeburg. And then I was down in the heart of Tampa, Florida. The whole heart of the city of Tampa, Florida is all Orangeburg. When I found that Davis Isle is Orangeburg, I'm like, wow. And there's so much opportunity down there for lining and stuff. And that's where I found my specialty.
When did you get into pipelining?
Oh boy, probably close to 15 years ago. I was one of the first ones. Again, I've always tried to stay on the cutting edge of being an innovator. We started with ambient cured and went steam cured, and now into the UV systems. I'd say 14, 15 years ago.
Has it changed a lot?
Oh, yeah. Rapid fire.
It gets better every day, doesn't
it? It gets better, and it almost gets too easy where anybody gets into it. And if they're not proficient at it, then they lose them. When I say lose them, they they go off too fast on them. And because I hate to say it, and I've watched it, they don't prep it. My son wrestled with the Jay Robinson's wrestling camp, and he said prior preparation prevents piss poor performance. Mm-hmm. And I kind of live by that model a little bit. And when you go to line a pipe, you got to clean it. You got to clean it good.
You bet.
And in the 21 IPC, which is just coming out right now, they actually have a full chapter on lining. What do you get if you line through a pipe with a belly in it?
You still get a belly.
You get a lined pipe with a belly in it.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it.
And, that's the inspectors and I talk about that. And so and I'm pretty ecstatic now that they're putting some regulations in on it. I have not read the chapter yet. I was told it's in there. Maybe it's the 23, don't quote me. In the IPC, there's a complete chapter that talks about pipe rehabilitation. How, it's supposed to be cambered before and all that, and then cambered after. And it can't hold any water.
And it should be the 24 IPC coming out, right? And don't they do them every 3 years?
18,
that sounds
21, maybe
23.
It's 24.
Yeah.
I think
you're right.
18,
21, 24. Yeah, so 23.
Yeah. The last one I tested was a 21, and it wasn't in there yet.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're right, 24.
Pipelining, leak locating, stuff like that. Any other specialties like water filtration? Y'all do that too?
Oh, yeah. I mean, your friend Glenn, I'm looking
Halo.
forward to that.
You bet.
Oh, yeah. Either buy a filter or be a filter.
Mm-hmm. He teaches that so well.
Oh, his videos give me goosebumps.
Look, I enjoy talking to Glenn. You and Glenn will be great because the conversations, they'll go on forever.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, I've sat and talked to Glenn at bars, at events, and we could sit and talk for hours. He is very intelligent. Such a good guy.
If it's not fun, it's not Halo.
It's the good thing about it too is I truly think Halo is the true plumber's choice.
If it's not, it should be.
Yeah. It really, it's the best system out there, I think.
And just so the audience knows here, there's nothing in this from us for Halo.
No.
But he's got it. He's got it. And what's more fun about it for me is to watch him. I've never met the man yet, which I think you're going to help me with that, is to watch his passion.
Oh, no. He truly loves what he does.
I ran across a guy the other night that's got this leak detection equipment. And to hear about that and the passion that he has behind this leak detection equipment, it just makes it more fun.
I completely get it.
I think you know who that guy is.
I do know who that guy is.
Yeah, and it's and I got to see one today, and it's just, when a person's passionate about something,
we love what we do.
Yes,
and that's what it all gets down to.
Yes, and I'm, even doing this video, I hope I'm doing okay with it because I love it.
Oh no, you're doing great.
I love it. I'm having fun with it. 6 months ago, I didn't know what a Sony EV10 camera was, and so I took a little road trip, went to New York City just so I could go to B&H. And I got to give B&H a plug. They got it together. I
hadn't never been there, but they know my credit card number by heart.
But they got it.
Oh yeah,
and and I want to be that of plumbing, and it's their customer service, their customer support that's what I want to be of plumbing.
No, I completely get it.
And people laugh at me and they think I'm crazy. I give all my customers my cell phone number. I plaster it on TV. I don't care.
So does our buddy John Coyne.
Yeah.
That's his cell phone number up on the billboards. If you have a problem, call me. It's like, oh my gosh, John, you're crazy.
I know. People tell me I'm crazy.
He said it hardly ever rings just because my plumbers know they've got my phone number.
So I learned that theory from a seminar when I was young. I'm going to guess 20 years ago. There was, don't quote me, I think it was Wachovia Security. It was a bank in Seattle, Washington.
Okay.
And the president of the bank put his phone number. This is before cell phones were so big. He put his phone number up on the back wall of the bank. He says, if you're waiting in line long enough to read this, you need to call me.
Wow.
Okay. Their bank tripled in size in 2 years.
That is crazy.
You know what, though? It's when the ownership, when somebody's a stakeholder in the company,
Yep.
takes that interest and that much concern, there's a reason behind it. And it's because they want to be good. They want to do the right thing. And that's who I want to be, and that's who I want to associate with.
I love it. Look, I believe in customer service. I used to be a waiter. I used to be a bartender. So taking care of people, I get it. When I was about 11 years old or 12 years old, my parents ran a swimming lessons business out of our house. Used our home number as the office number. So we knew as kids when we answered the phone, hi, this is Roger. Thank you for calling D. Bob Swimmers. May I help you? And then they'd come out to bring their kids out, weeks or months later. And I'd be out there to help the parents, help mom and dad teach swimming lessons because I was a good swimmer. And they'd be like, wait, the parents would meet me. They're like, wait, you're Roger? It's like, yeah. They're like, I thought I was talking to a grown man. And me, my sister, I don't know about my brother. He may have been a little too young, but he'd have been 7. She'd have been 9. But, I mean, we knew this is how you answer the phone.
Hey, there's no other way to answer.
You bet.
I got my 5-year-old granddaughter saying it's a great day at Mr. Rooter Plumbing.
I love it.
Hey,
isn't that great?
It can't ask for anything better than that.
Take a minute and tell everybody again who you are, what you do, where they can find you.
All right. So, again, thank you for that opportunity. So, my name is Bob Beal. My stage name is Bob is the Plumber. How can you find me? You go to my website, or you can write this phone number down right now, 724-553-8700. I'm not afraid to put my phone number out there. If I come across spam, I might not answer it. You're better off texting me. Who am I? That's me. What do? I want to teach plumbing. I want to be on stage. I also want to teach customer service. I also want to teach the business side of plumbing businesses. There's nothing in the plumbing business industry that I can't teach you. Don't ask me to help you plumb a stadium. It would take me a month to read the blueprints. But if you sent me to the stadium, and I could help you fix repairs there. I get asked once in a while. And so that's who I am. Bob is a Plumber. Go to YouTube, subscribe. Click on the link to fill out the form. Go to bobisaplumber.com, scroll down the bottom, fill the form out, and you get a shirt or a hat sent to you. I started to go off there, and I apologize, I lost it. But people ask crazy questions, and I use this analogy, and I don't have any with me, and I wish I did. I'm going to start carrying this. I take a little marble. And you take a marble and you visualize this marble in your life. And you take it and you hold it up and you look at it, and people, and I'll do this for a big classroom, and I'll say, what do you see? And you get people doing this and that and all that. And I say, you know what? That's a crystal ball. What do you mean it's a crystal ball? Yeah, that's a crystal ball. Maybe your magic camera people could put a marble in my fingers. And that crystal ball is your future. Where's it at? It's in your hands. And that's what I want to teach people, that they have their crystal ball in their hand. I don't know what you think of that philosophy, but...
No, I think you're completely right.
It's in your hands. It's what you do with it. I'm a fat, chubby, blind plumber. I can do it. You can do it.
Most plumbers, electricians, and HVAC techs, once they get their license, they don't learn anything. They have continuing education every year. but most people, and I know I did this when I got my plumbing license in Texas back in the early 80s. It was probably 94 or 95 before we started continuing education. I never went and learned another thing. It was just, I'm a tool. I'm a plumber. Let me go plumb. And I was good at it. I was a good plumber. 97, I joined the union and went in and took a med gas class to get my med gas cert. And I was like, wow, I like this. Man, I can learn more. I can make more. Then I got my master license, and I got my master med gas again. Then I got my WSPS. I got my multi-purpose residential fire protection system. In Texas, we can tie the fire protection system into the plumbing. It's got to be designed. There's special heads, special tools for it. But I wanted to know everything about plumbing that I could. And that's where I tell people that had I become an electrician or something, I think I'd have just been an electrician. But when it comes to plumbing, it's like, I want to learn everything about it. I want to be able to talk about it. And it's not that I feel like I have to know everything about it. I want to be able to understand everything about it. And it all ties together. So to me, I think education is huge. Do you think that most licensed plumbers, since that's what we deal with mostly, once they get their license, they quit learning until a great opportunity or something comes along?
For the most part, they do. So I'll give you a perfect example of that. In my company, I said to my guys, and again, I got 40 guys. I said, I'll give you $250. Okay, if you can go on Glenn's site, Halo, and become Halo certified before me. I drug my feet a little bit on purpose. Okay, I only had 8 people in my company out of 60 people take advantage of that, and I'm paying them to go get educated.
Wow.
Okay, and I'm embarrassed telling you that, but that's the mindset of these Gen Zs.
Mm-hmm. It's not just Gen Zs.
No, you're right.
I'm old.
Yeah, we're at the tail end of the boomers, top of the X's.
But I watch most plumbers. If I called a plumber out here now and he's 50 years old, and I asked him, "Have you ever done any training? Have you ever learned to try to grow, to try to do anything?" Like, no, I'm a plumber. I know what I'm doing. And that's the way most of them are.
And I actually think part of the problem is so Florida's test, I say it was one of the hardest tests. All right. But when you walk out of your Florida test, you're certified in septic, you're certified in med gas, you're certified in solar.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
I like that.
You get all the certificates.
And that's all part of the plumbing exam?
Uh-huh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a 2-day test. Now, the challenge behind it is I don't know the first thing about septic.
I want to, because now that I bought this 10 acres, it's septic.
Yeah.
And I'm like, here in Texas, you've got to have a separate license to do septic. And you've got to have about 5 years to do it. So, yeah.
Yeah. What do you got to do? Probably a sand mound down here?
I don't know. We're in black clay.
Oh, wow. You might have to put an alternative system in.
Oh, yeah. They do aerobic systems here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know what they are. I couldn't tell you the first thing about one.
Yeah. I get it. It's like me and HVAC. I've got my HVAC certs. You don't want me working on your system.
No, I've had, before, again, I grew up as a plumber, mom and dad didn't have AC. My dad just take a bucket of ice water and put in front of a fan.
There you go.
That was our AC. Right.
So back to the education thing.
So go ahead.
No, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, there's probably somebody's going to shoot me for saying this. I've taken my 8 hours or 10 hours a year, whatever one of the states require that I'm licensed in, and I've sat through classes and learned about solar. I don't want to see it, but I think the continuing ed needs some help. I think it needs to be more trade specific.
Texas is all plumbing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's the Texas State Board of Plumbing Examiners requires it.
Yeah. See, in one of the states up there, the Construction Industry Licensing Board is all the trades underneath it.
Right.
So I could sit in a class about solar and have 3 HVAC guys, 4 plumbers, and
wow,
sitting with me. And now it's online. I think it should be taken a little more serious. Mm-hmm. I I also dabble when I say dabble, I mean the word loosely, in real estate. And I actually like the Florida real estate. I got my real estate license down there, and then I have 1 year to complete another 45-hour course.
Wow.
I think that's the way it should be.
Mm-hmm.
In Pittsburgh, the young men go to school for 4 years. They get the journeyman's license. Then they got to wait 2 years to get their master's license. I like that because
Texas is about the same.
Yeah, you got to be a master plumber. You got to be a journeyman plumber for 6 years before you can sit for a master's test.
Well, apprentice for 4 years.
Yeah.
Then that gets you to your journeyman.
Yes,
Right.
You got to have 6 years experience.
Okay. Yes.
You know, and the one guy that runs the school, he's a friend of mine. He says, I only get him 500 hours a year. Okay. He says, you got him 9,500.
Right.
So I'm pretty adamant in trying to get my senior guys teaching the younger guys, even my third and fourth year apprentices, they to teach the newbies. And it's tough. I will have a plumbing school put in by the end of this year. Probably not to the level that I was
going to say. You only got 2 months.
Yeah, good point. By the end of 26.
This at the end of this year is coming quickly because I wanted to have my event center done by now.
Yeah, so by the end of 26, I will have a complete plumbing center. Again, I don't want to go off tangents of what I want to do, but there are plumbing schools out there.
Oh yeah.
I don't know their names. You probably know their names, but I
know a bunch of them.
There's one in Louisiana. I understand Jimmy Hiller's got one.
All over the place. I think Jimmy's is just HVAC.
Oh, is it? Okay.
I think so. I may be wrong.
No, I don't know. But, I mean, there's a lot of plumbing centers out there. And the other thing that's very disappointing to me is you can't find a college. Thaddeus Stevens, I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's out by Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. They actually have a 4-year degree in plumbing. It's the only school I've ever heard of that actually has that.
Collin College has a 2-year degree. Right?
Okay.
So, and it's tied in with the Texas State Board of Plumbing Examiners. They know what they're doing and teaching, what the syllabus is. Texas has actually brought plumbing into high schools. After your freshman year, if you decide you want to be a plumber, you take plumbing for the next 3 years. You've got work in offices or work at plumbing companies in the summers and stuff like that. I believe is part of it. But basically, you take the plumbing class for 3 years. When you graduate, you're eligible to go take your tradesman exam, which is a 2-year license.
Okay.
So 4,000 hours. In 4,000 hours, once you get your tradesman, you're eligible to work on single family and 2-family dwellings.
By yourself.
As a plumber, you bet, by yourself. 2 more years, you go back and get your journeyman. Now you can work on multifamily and everything else. So it's good for the businesses because in 2 years, you can have a revenue generating vehicle running by someone who's been training to do that. So I like that. I think it's great.
I like that. I wish we had more of that.
Yeah. Most states need it.
Yes, that's actually pretty impressive. And I think it takes a full 2 years before a guy should really be on his own. And I've put guys out. I've put guys out in 6 months to a year.
Yeah, we don't in Texas. Or some companies do. They'll send apprentices out, but they can get fined for it.
Yeah.
The apprentices get in trouble. Everybody gets in trouble.
Yeah, we don't get fined for it.
Well, Texas State Board of Plumbing Examiners is pretty good.
I've heard it's a hard test.
It is. I've heard that it's the hardest, but
yeah,
it's the only one I've ever taken, so I don't know. It's just what I had to do.
Yeah, I haven't taken it.
So tell me about the best day you ever had at work.
Oh, man. Well, probably the best days I really ever had is when my wife called me and told me, because all my kids are adopted, that we got another kid. So those are the best days at work, truthfully, in life. I'd say the best days at work is when, Lafarge Concrete out of Cleveland. I had my first sewer camera. This was back in the 90s. I put a camera in their sewer and located it, and their sewer just continuously kept backing up. So I actually demoed a UEMSI camera, and that's where I demoed it at, and I found where it was broken. That's where I had the gold deck locator. And if you can picture a concrete batch plant, okay, it's an incredible facility. And it was broken in the footer. Mm. And I gave him a pretty healthy estimate, and it was very laborious. I mean,
oh yeah, sure.
Inside, outside jackhammer. It was quite, Had a big ram hoe on it and everything. Probably the best day I ever had at work was when they faxed the proposal back, signed.
Yeah.
Those are good feelings.
It is.
And it was definitely one of those deals. We're talking mid-90s. Probably about 97, 98. I was married. And it was one of those deals. 5 plumbers been here, and it keeps backing up. It keeps backing up.
Yep.
So that was actually a cool day. So another good day is one of the guys that worked for me, his uncle or his wife's uncle, was a facility manager for this big factory in Ambridge. I think it was Ambridge, Pennsylvania, but nobody knows other than my guys that listen to this. They needed a water service put in. And they needed an 8-inch double check with a detector check, vault, and all this good stuff. And I gave him a price, and my price was competitive. And I sat down with the guy, and I said to him, I don't do this every day. I said, 8 inches, it's not out of my league, it's plumbing. I says, yeah, there's mega lug fittings and all that. I says, you tighten them with impact wrenches, you torque wrenches. I says, I've not done a whole lot of this in my life, but here's what I can tell you. Whether it's 8-inch or 1/2-inch, it's pretty simple. You install it. You install it according to manufacturer specifications, and you test it. I says, I can tell you this job will get done. And the guy just stood up and said to me, he says, that was probably the most impressive, honest sales pitch I ever heard. And shook my hand and gave me the job.
There you go.
And that was a pretty neat occasion.
So tell me about your worst day ever at work.
At work, the worst day. When I was in a septic tank, or I was in a manhole at a mobile home park in Perry, Ohio, working for my dad, making $8 an hour. And we had to plug the hole going from all the drain lines came into this like a septic tank. It was a man-made brick vault. And there was a 6-inch line from the bottom that went over to the pump station where they had their own sewage plant. And we had to plug that. So Dad looks at me and says, can you do that? I said, yeah. So we pumped it down. Okay, but remember, there's 300 mobile homes. It's flowing wild.
Oh, yeah.
So the rungs on the ladder are rotting out. So we put down an extension ladder down, and I went down there, and I got the yellow boots on. I got the jackets and all that. And I feel with my foot where that 6-inch pipe going over to the check valve is. And he lowers me with a rope, a test ball, with a wing nut test ball. He says, can you get that in there and plug? And I reach down there, and I stick it in there. And I'm like, I turn around, and I look up, and all of a sudden, female products start hitting me in the face. It's funny. It's funny, but if that's really the worst day at work I ever had, it's not that bad.
It all washes off.
It's not that bad. Soap and water will cure anything, and I don't want to tell you other things. That there was a lot of people in that mobile home park that were having fun.
Oh, yeah.
So there was a lot of white mice hitting me, a lot of that. And you know what, though? It is what it is. And I took care of what needed done. We changed that check valve in the pit next door, and it was a good job.
That's what it's all. They're all good jobs.
Yes, it was a good feeling.
Bob, this has been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you again, Roger. I appreciate the opportunity to spend this time with you.
All right. And thanks for the hats and shirts and everything. We do appreciate it.
All right. Bob is the plumber. Thanks, Roger.
Thank you.